Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to It's Poppin', where we talk about everything pop-up camper related. So this is just gonna be a quick how-to video on how to hitch up your pop-up camper to your tow vehicle. So stay tuned for this step-by-step guide. Okay, step one. Hitch in the receiver. Pop your cotter pin in, and that's it. All right, step two, at least for our pop-up, is to lift up here and pull that back so it's resting up and off. That opens up the hitch here to allow you to drop it onto the ball. Step three is to crank up the front end of your camper high enough so that when you back your tow vehicle and the hitch, it doesn't hit your pop-up. So just tall enough to clear it. I'm pretty sure this will be plenty tall. Okay, next step is to back up your tow vehicle so that the ball is under your receiver, and we have a nice backup camera that points down, so I can generally do this on my own. However, if you don't have anything like that, doesn't hurt to have a second person telling you when you're good. And then I always throw it in park and put on the emergency brake, especially when we have the kind of a downhill slope of our driveway, so that way the car doesn't lurch forward a little bit. All right, next step is lower it down onto the ball. Make sure this is up. All right, now that the pressure's off the wheel here, you can pull that out and get rid of our wheel chocks. All right, next step is to drop this down. And sometimes if it's not gonna pop down, a little trick I'll do is I'll just move the tow vehicle slightly forward or back to get it right in position, and then come back and drop it down. But definitely don't forget to do that. Otherwise there's a chance your camper will come off the hitch. And then I put the pin in. This is just one of those master lock pin locks, and lock that up. And make sure this is all the way up, because our driveway's a little steep, so there's always a chance it might hit going down the driveway. So that's all the way up. Now there's 4 things you got to hook up to the tow vehicle. Two of which are your chains. One is the 7-way pin connector, and then finally the electric brake actuator, in case heaven forbid your trailer comes, or your pop-up comes off. So what I like to do, because these chains are a touch long when they're hooked up, I give them a few twists and just make sure that they are crisscrossed. So whichever side they start on, they go to the opposite hook attachment point. And just make sure, as a general rule of thumb, that there's enough slack in the chains and everything else you hook to the tow vehicle for you to make turns, so that you want a little bit of slack, because if there's not enough slack, you're not going to be able to make those turns without putting stress on whatever is attached. So I don't know about you guys, but I like to wrap this around so it doesn't drag. And then this gets connected to the tow vehicle. Alright guys, so I flipped over to the other side of the pop-up to show you how to attach the emergency brake cable. So what I do is I have this carabiner attached to the end of the brake cable, and then, let me pan you over, I loop this through the same connection point where the chain is, and bring this around, and then what I do is I have an overhand knot tied right here. And the idea behind this is so that the emergency brake cable is shorter than the chain, so that way in case the pop-up comes off the hitch and the ball, and if it's just on the chains, this is shorter, so hopefully your brake will actuate, allowing your camper to slow down, even if it's, you know, like I said, come unhooked. A little hard to tell if this is shorter than not, but because it's a little longer than the chains, but it seems a little bit more taut than me. So that's how I do it, because I can't reach the carabiner all the way back to this loop right here, hence the overhand knot. So that's how we hook up the emergency brake cable, the of course the 7-pin connector, as well as the chains. So this is attached down, got our lifting or raising crank all the way up, and the only thing left to do really now is check out, make sure all the lights work, and remove the wheel chocks now that pop-up's connected to the tow vehicle. Alright, just doing a quick light check. Front lights look good. You can already see that the rear light's on. Yeah, left blinker's good, brakes are good, right blinker's good, and yeah, everything looks great. So that's the lights. Alright, so that's how to hitch your pop-up camper up to your tow vehicle. Now just a quick note on how your pop-up camper should be level when you're towing it down the road. What you can do in order to make sure your pop-up camper is level when it's connected to your tow vehicle is level out your pop-up camper and then measure the distance from the coupler down to the ground, and then also when your tow vehicle's somewhere level, measure from your hitch receiver to the ground. Now the difference between those two measurements is going to dictate whether you need a rise or a drop for your hitch. For example, on our vehicle we have a bit of a rise. I don't know if it's maybe a 2 or a 4-inch rise. So that way our pop-up camper is more level when we're towing it down the road. You don't want your pop-up too high in the front or too low. Especially if you have a tandem axle. So that's just a quick tip on making sure your pop-up is level when you're driving it down the road. So if you guys have any further questions about how to hook up your pop-up to your tow vehicle, please let me know. And as always, I hope I see you out there camping.